Good morning. I've only been with First Church for a few months, but I've recognized more faces and people's names I can remember, so forgive me if I don't remember your name. I've never been good at that. But I am a member of the Gideons, the northeast Volusia camp. And I have something I want to tell you, a little story. I used to work in an acute care hospital. One day, as I was just doing my own thing, not bothering anybody, a lady walked up to me and she said, "Who, Jesus? Who, Jesus?" I thought, well, what do I do? The Apostles' Creed. I believe that God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. No. No English. Chinese. Who, Jesus? Whew. I'm so glad I'm a Gideon. I went home and I dug out my Chinese New Testament. And it's in Chinese and English. And so the next day I gave her that. 3 months went by, and she came to me, and she said, "I love Jesus." She said, "I want to buy one for my mother." And I had to explain to her, as Gideons, we place Bibles. We do not sell them. We place them where they're needed. But I'll give you one. And so I brought her one. She took it with her back to China and gave it to her mother. About 3 months later, here she comes down the hallway with a big smile on her face. And she says, "I want another one." My brother, he's a physician. He's an orthopedic surgeon in China. And I want one for him. And you notice she's speaking English? That's where she learned it from. That is $3.50. There were 3 people came to know Jesus Christ because of $3.50 someone donated to the Gideons to purchase that testament. That's the kind of thing that happens to us a lot. Just in case you don't remember the story about Gideon, back in Kings chapter 6, the Israelites were having a really bad time. The Midianites were up on the mountain. Whenever the Midianites wanted something, they just came down and took it. They took their food, they took their clothes, they took whatever they wanted. And the Israelites kept praying to God to help us get out of this mess. Well, there was one person there named Gideon, and he was hiding to thresh the wheat so that it wouldn't be stolen and he could feed his family. But one night when he was sleeping, wonderful sleep, "Gideon, Gideon." And he popped up and said, "It must be you, Lord." He said, "Yeah, Gideon, I want you to gather up an army and go defeat the Midianites." And Gideon said, "Lord, I don't want to upset you, but can you kind of maybe show me a sign that it's really you talking to me?" He said, "What I'd like for you to do is when I wake up in the morning, I'd like for the ground to be wet, and I'm going to put a fleece out there, and it should be dry. Then I'll know it's you." Sure enough, the next morning, that's what happened. Now, Gideon was kind of like doubting Thomas later in the Bible. Gideon said that night when he got called awake again, he said, "Well, would you just one more time do the opposite? When I wake up in the morning, the ground will be dry and the fleece will be wet. Then I'll really know it. I won't question you anymore, I promise." Next morning, sure enough, there it was, just as he asked. So he called his people together and he said, "Hey, y'all, come on." I guess you notice I'm a 5th generation Floridian. "Hey, y'all, come on down." And so 32,000 Israelites came together. Now, there are 135,000 up on top of the mountain of Midianites. So 32,000 is a pretty good-sized group. But that night, Gideon got woken up again. Gideon's not getting much sleep these days. God wakes him up and says, Gideon, that's too many. I don't want you going out and defeating the Midianites and thinking that you did it. I want you to defeat them and know that God was with you, or it wouldn't have happened. So I want you to send all the old men, the women, the children, send them home, and let's see what we've got. So he did that. There were still 10,000 men ready to go. And God said, Gideon, I want you to defeat the Midianites, and I want you to know really good and well that God was with you, or it wouldn't have happened. So take these 10,000 men down to the river and have them get a drink of water. So they went down to the river, and it's a custom then. Some of them leaned over the river. But a few of them dipped water out in their hands and drank from their hands as they observed what was going on around them. And God said, those are the ones you need to take. There were 300. So he said, okay. Then God told him what else to do. And they gathered together, and they brought their lanterns, their lamps, the oil lamp, full of oil. And they put a cover on it, and they had their horn that they called their sheep together with. And they circled the mountain where the Gideonites were on top. And the Gideonites were sound asleep, sleeping better than Gideon. They were sound asleep. Gideon gave them a sign, and they threw the lamps on the ground. And, of course, they burst into flames with the oil. And they blew their horns. The Midianites woke up, scared out of their wits, grabbed their swords, and started killing each other. None of Gideon's men were hurt. And the few Midianites that didn't get killed by each other ran off and got killed down the road. And so they knew that God was with them. And that taught them a lesson to go back to praising God. I had the opportunity 3 times to go to Ukraine. That was 10 years ago. But the pastor of the Methodist church in Kiev told me the biggest problem that the church members had was they didn't speak English. And because they had just come out from under the Russian USSR, all the factories were empty. It was actually a 70% unemployment rate. But people from other countries were coming in and starting businesses, but they all spoke English. And I said, what can I do? And he said, well, you're an English teacher. Come teach English. So I went back, and when I got to the airport in Kiev, by the way, if you didn't notice, it's Kiev, not Kiev. Don't forget that. So I got to Kiev. I got through the passport section, and I got over to customs and was going to pick up my suitcase. And 2 young soldiers with machine guns on their shoulders came up to me. And one of them said in his broken English, why are you trying to smuggle gold coins into Ukraine? I'm not trying to, no. He said, would you open your suitcase? Now, that's a silly question. 2 guys with machine guns asked me to open my suitcase. You're darn right I'm going to open it. And I opened it up, and there it was. There were 35 of these New Testaments in English, and 35 of the pocket version in Russian. And they looked and they said, oh, look, it's gold. That's what showed up on the x-ray, not coins. Gideon's oil lamp showed up. So I said, okay. I said, now, what is that? Said, this is a Bible. You can't bring Bibles into Ukraine unless you have a letter from the Committee on Foreign Religions. Now, this is where God was with me. I mean, God was there with me, because I would have never thought of what to say. And God put the words in my mouth. Oh, no, this is English. I'm an English teacher. See, and here's the English book, and here's the Russian book. And the guard said, oh, okay, that's all right. I said, would you like one? He said, no, I'm not allowed to take one. Stuck it under his shirt. It's just amazing if you listen to God. The sad part is there were 47 students in my last class, and I could only contact 2 of them. And I would ask you to keep Spring United Methodist Church in keep in your prayers. I had 4 weeks with them, and they became family. Let me mention here, I'm telling you stories of things I did. It's nothing I did. God did this, just as he helped Gideon. And I can read stories of what has happened to people that were Gideons and went to other countries and did all kinds of things. It's really nice little stories, but I kind of like to use the ones where I was there. I saw it. I got to be part of it. So Gideons, today, we are Protestant. We're from different born-again Christian churches, and we are business and professional men. As a Gideon, we pay for all of our administrative expenses. Everything's paid for by us out of our pocket. The donations we receive only go to purchase scriptures. And I'm really pleased to tell you that in September, October, and November of last year, our Gideon camp, 5 men, that's all we had could get out and work. 5 men went out and we distributed 5,000 Bibles. We placed 5,000. We went to every hotel, motel, nursing home, assisted living facility, and we placed a Bible. Now, in some of the hotels we went to, they had some old Bibles. And I want you to know we were really tight with money. So we go into the motel and we get a Bible like this. It's all water stained. They got symbols for the devil, 666, and a picture of the devil, all kinds of nasty stuff in here. So we take this, we tear the cover off, we tear off the bad page, and we give it to the prisoners in the jail. See, they're not allowed to have a hard cover. They use that as a knife. They make a shive, whatever you call that thing. So they can't have a hard cover. So we give them these. So we don't waste any money. The Bibles that we give out, if any of you were in the military, you probably remember getting one like this, a little pocket testament. When we went to the nursing homes, not only did we give it to the residents, but we gave the little white one to the workers there. These are the ones that we give out at the high schools, and we just finished giving out, we've given out about 800 this year, I'm just guessing, at the different high schools. We go to the middle school and give them out to the middle school children. And then we give them out at high school graduation. When we had the big graduations last June, over the different schools coming up to the convention center here, Ocean Center, we gave out over 3,000 to the graduates. Embry-Riddle had 900 graduate one day, and we gave out 800 of the testaments to those graduates and families. So not only do we send Bibles all over the world, but we're distributing them right here. Back in 1735, when I was in high school, back in 1735, there were two brothers that said, we feel the calling of God to go to that new country and support the churches over there and kind of give a little hope and spirit and maybe do some preaching and singing with them. So they got on a ship. I don't know if you call it a ship or a boat, but it's one of those sail ships, and it got about halfway over here, and they got in a hurricane. And it was tossing around, and stuff was flying all around the decks. They were hanging on for dear life, and they were praying, God save us. And then despite all of that, in the background, they heard singing. Happy, happy singing. And they went down to the bottom of the ship. And there was a large group of Amish who were immigrating to this country. And they were singing happy hymns. Jesus loves me. They were singing happy hymns. And so the one brother turned to the other and he said, Charles, if we had 300 men with a conviction of these Amish, we could convert the whole world. And that was John and Charles Wesley. I wish we had 300 Gideons, because I sure wished when we were hauling those boxes of scriptures into the hotels, we could have used a few more people. And we do need professional and businessmen that are active in the church. This is not a substitute for going to church. You don't see me here in church every Sunday morning, but I'm sitting over here every Sunday morning, right over here in the first service. So I'm here. This is in addition to what we do. You remember back in the days of Jesus, we're told a story in Matthew 25:14 about a servant, 3 servants, and the master was going away on a long trip. So he called in his 3 servants and he said, okay, servant number 1, I'm going to give you this big sum of money, and you take care of it while I'm gone. Servant number 2, I'm going to give you a little less money, but you take care of it while I'm gone. And servant number 3, I'm only going to give you a little bit, but you take care of it while I'm gone. And when the master came back, servant number 1 said, I invested it, I used it properly, and I have doubled and tripled your money. Here it is. Second servant said, well, I didn't have as much, but I worked hard and I increased the money that you gave me. He turned to the third servant. He said, what did you do? He said, I was scared I'd lose it, so I hid it. And here it is. I dug it back up out of the hole. And the master said, you now have the lowest, dirtiest, nastiest job on this place because you didn't use what I gave you. Now, back in those days, the money they were using, if you read some of the Old Testaments, they referred to the money as talents. Let's convert that over to English today, talents. Has God given you talents? Are you using them? Or are you a pew potato? I'd like to think I'm the middle guy. I don't want to be in charge of all of it, but I like to be the guy in the middle and use those talents that God has given me. And that's what we ask of people who join the Gideons, business and professional men. Now, as Gideons, we do need your prayers. Oh, we need your prayers. There are countries that we're not able to get into. And there are motels here in Volusia County we can't get into. And we would pray that God touches the hearts of those motel owners and managers that won't let us in. And that when we go back for our yearly check on the Bibles, that they will let us in this time. Everything we do as a Gideon is above and beyond the tithe. Matthew 23, verse 23 tells us that the tithe includes justice, mercy, and love. And that's what we try to do. We try to show mercy and love by placing these scriptures. Now, gentlemen, I want your fishing money. Okay? I want your golf money. I want your beer money. I want that money that you don't really need to spend on that, but could go to a better use. Now, ladies, oh no, I'm not getting into that. I'm not going to tell the ladies what to give up. Mama didn't raise no fool. I have a problem here. That's an empty box. This is supposed to have 100 personal worker testaments in it. And this is where we need your financial help. These testaments cost $1.30. So if you would like, you can buy a box of these for $130. First service actually bought 2 boxes of these. The last words that are recorded in the book of Matthew that Jesus spoke before he ascended into heaven were, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the end of the age. And I will be at the doors in the back. I have brochures if you're interested. If you didn't bring your checkbook, I'll give you an envelope to mail it in. You can bring it next Sunday. You can mail it. If you're online, you can mail it to First United Methodist, Fort Orange. And I promise you, that will go to place a scripture in a person's hand that needs Jesus Christ in their life. Thank you.